Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Speak Your Truth podcast with Mark Ross. And with me this evening, I have with me David J. Wilson. Is that J or F Wilson?
F.
F Wilson, okay. Licensed psychotherapist, and you have your own practice. Is
That's
that right?
correct. That's correct.
All right.
I'm a licensed clinical social worker and psychotherapist.
All right. Well, thank you, David, for taking the time. Like I said to you, I'm gonna keep saying it. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me, sir.
It's good to get the message out.
That's right. And you do have a story to share.
I do.
So I just want people to understand your work and what it is you do. You're a licensed psychotherapist. Talk to us real quick about what a psychotherapist is.
First of all, it's been a long road in terms of education to get to be to the level where I am at.
Indeed.
I had to graduate from social work school, so I got a master's of social work in 2010. Then I passed my boards and became a licensed master social worker. Then I had to put 2,000 supervision hours in. Then I had to pass my boards again to become a licensed clinical social worker, which gives me the right to give therapy to people, psychotherapy.
Okay. And speaking of psychotherapy, real quick, what population of people do you work with?
I chose because I recovered myself from mental illness, so I chose to treat. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So I chose to deal with serious mental illness, which encounters depression, anxiety, a specialty in schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. So we're talking about, serious mental illnesses.
Sure. The heavy hitters, so to speak.
Yeah.
And as you said, you yourself dealt with or deal with mental health issues.
Right.
Talk about your journey with that.
I was at a very prestigious college freshman year, and I stayed up all night studying and drinking coffee and not going to sleep. And the next day I had sort of a psychotic episode, and that started the journey towards, not being so well for a long time. So I was diagnosed as an 18-year-old person, I'm 57 now, with schizophrenia, which was a very bad diagnosis back then because they really didn't have the medications to help me at that point. But eventually I got into the right medication and everything cleared up in terms of my thinking and how I was feeling and how I was doing, and everything turned around. And, so I started at 18, I'm 57 now.
Sure.
So I found the right medication at the age of probably 26 and started to go back to school, and eventually got married, had a kid, moved to I'm now in Boca Raton, Florida.
Lord.
And I have a thriving psychotherapy practice, which is all virtual. So I'm able to work from home. Okay. And, so right now I have about 30 clients a week. And I'm doing a week, yes. Every week.
Wow.
And I'm busy, and it's lucrative. I'm able to, live a very nice life. So I'm a very lucky and blessed person.
Wow. So you had the episode at 18, and you didn't get on the right medications to help you for 10 years later.
I don't know if it was 10 years. It was more like maybe 5 or 6.
Okay.
Probably closer to 6. Yeah. Okay.
What was life like for you in those 5-6 years, David? Because that's still a lot.
It was a lot. I was able to work because my dad owned his own pharmacy, and I would go into work with him. But I wasn't thinking straight. I wasn't doing very good. And I wasn't feeling well in addition to it. So that's like how I summarize like mental illness is like, and how to get better is the 3 prongs that I use. And it actually says on the back of my business card, it says, think better, do better, feel better. So I wasn't doing well in any three of those areas. For a long time, I was having something very common to schizophrenia, which was auditory hallucinations and hearing voices in my head. So it was a very, it was a very confusing time for me.
Mm,
I was actually hospitalized three times within those 6 years. So everything seemed to be very reactive instead of proactive, like things were happening to me
mm-hmm,
instead of me making them happen at that time.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it was a hard 6 years during what between I had to leave college during my junior year, so I was able to survive there for 2.5 years. Uh, but I went back to college eventually.
Right, right. Uh, how did your parents react when after you experienced that your first psychotic?
Well, it was very disturbing for the whole family, which is understandable because mental illness is a family process. It just doesn't affect yourself. Of
Yeah,
course, it affects your family as well.
absolutely.
But they were very good to me. They let me stay at home. They worked with me. They joined, which was very positive for them. And then for me, NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, local
Mm-hmm,
chapter in Staten Island.
mm-hmm.
And they got the support that they needed at the time to learn about my illness and how they could help. But it was very stressful for everybody, not just myself.
Hmm. And that's something that people don't understand about uh, mental health and people that are dealing with mental health issues. It doesn't affect just you. It affects everybody around you. Your
Yeah.
family. If you have children, it affects them too because
Hmm.
they have to alter their life course, so to speak, and help pick you up.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
The work I do now and what I've seen in the past is that a very big proponent of the possibility of someone getting better from a serious mental illness, the number one proponent, I believe, is having a supportive family
Indeed, brother.
that doesn't let you go.
Indeed.
You know, so
Hmm.
that's I mean, I think that's huge when it comes to mental illness.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, uh, I forgot what I was going to ask you. Oh,
Okay.
were there any like precursive uh feelings or you know behaviors that you exhibited before this break? Because when people say, "Oh, I had a breakdown," wasn't anything leading up to this breakdown,
I
or
think it
did it?
was a lot of stress based around going to college for the first time, possibly use of marijuana at the time. Like a lot of college kids these days, or back in the 80s, even were using a lot of marijuana, and that was very unhelpful.
Mm, mm,
I mean, the teenage brain does not really develop fully until the age of 23, 24. And you throw something like that into the mix, and then the added addition of being in college for the first time and staying up all night studying for your finals.
mm.
It just was the perfect storm to throw
Yep,
me into not thinking straight.
absolutely. I understand, and I asked that question because I I I think people don't really get the gist of when people say, "I had a breakdown." You
Right,
know, does it happen just like that, or is there a process that leads to that? So I wanted to
right,
have you
right,
talk
right.
about that. You know what I'm saying?
I, I mean, yeah, like the science behind it right now shows that if you can catch it earlier, there could be better outcomes. But that's like a recent thought, but within the thought leaders in psychiatry these days, back in the 80s, they didn't really know. Um, I was in college in 80s. I got sick in 86. But now, there's a lot more support on college campuses and they're looking for it and they sometimes able to catch it a little bit earlier to where It's not a full-blown thing. You start treatment, you get on some medication, you don't have to be hospitalized. It's easier now compared to when I was a kid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Light years different. Light years different. Uh, David, has your mental health journey ever took you to a bad place mentally?
Well, I mean, like, looking back on it, the worst place I was when I needed to be hospitalized for a few months at a time. Which, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy, having to go to an inpatient unit
Mm,
that tells you when to get up, when to go to sleep, when to eat, and
yeah.
then, dealing at that time with medications that didn't work.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that was really, really hard to deal with, you
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
Right now they have the new atypical antipsychotic medications that work. Back when I got sick, there wasn't any of that. And also, the medications that I was on, I was taking my medication, but there were a lot of side effects in terms of akinesia, in terms of feeling like you want to jump out of your skin. So, I mean,
Mm,
I think that was the hardest part. I was on
yikes.
medication that wasn't just not working, but also made me feel terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's and this is just my personal approach on medication. Uh, I guess you have to go through the motions, so to speak, to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. But in the midst of all that, though, David, there's this uh, there's this issue of side effects,
Right.
and the side effects of taking artificial medicines. It could be just as devastating as if as what you're going through previous to that.
Right. And I really tout in my practice, and in terms of the science right now, is that there's a medicine called clozapine, uh, which is the generic, and the brand name is called Clozaril. And I've been on that for probably over 30 years now,
Mm,
and the side effects are minimal. And being on that medication for just 2 months, my thought process cleared up. For many people like me, it was a miracle drug. Brought me back. Was able, after being on it a couple of years, was able to go back to college and graduate. Get my master's, get married, have a baby, buy my own house.
mm,
The social part about it was very important, but psychosis is a brain disease, and I needed my medicine, and it came along.
mm, mhm. I got you. I got you. So you're going through the motions. You finally got the clonazepam, and it helps you out. It puts you back to base, so to speak. Uh, what made you decide to go back to school after all that?
So I was in going back 2009. I was in pharmaceutical sales, and I was selling to ophthalmologists on Park Avenue. Had a really high paying job,
Mm,
and there was a job on an ACT team, which is assertive community treatment, where you have a team of people, peer counselor, nurse, psychiatrist, social workers, that go into people's homes and treat them in their homes,
okay.
people that are severely mentally ill who can't really get out.
Okay.
So my mother, who was involved with mental health care at the time through NAMI, said, why don't you take this job and see how you like it? I said, well, it doesn't pay much. She says, well, I'll help you out. Don't worry, just do it. So I
Mm,
did it, and I loved it.
wow.
And 6 months in, I started my master's program in social work at New York University at night, going to night school. So that's how it really started for me, helping people out who were
Yeah.
in a situation that, like, I was in,
Right.
where I was able to help.
Right. That's amazing because here you are with this high paying job. I think for some people that may listen to it or that are listening, they may say, well, yeah, you were able to go back to school, but you had a high paying job.
Right. Right. Very high paying, yes. And it was fun too. It was a fun job for me.
Was it?
Yeah.
So, okay, because I'm assuming that it was probably stressful for you because of your diagnosis, and working in that type of field can be stressful. Am I right?
Well, it could, but I wasn't stressed out. I was able to do it. I was doing well. My numbers were good.
Okay.
Not many people know that about pharmaceutical sales is that they track your numbers and how much you're selling, and you have to produce and you have to do it. And I really enjoyed it. I did that for about 8 years.
Nice.
So I really loved it. But then I found my calling sort of after starting the job on the ACT team and getting into social work school at NYU.
Nice. Nice. Uh, can you, for people who have uh, psychotic episodes, can you make a full recovery, or is it just, hey, this is the new you, this is the new
Right, right.
David?
I would wish that everybody could make the full recovery like I did, and you have to put yourself in the best situation to make a full recovery, right? So it takes a village to heal a person with psychotic features.
Indeed.
Um, I had that full coverage. I had the medication. I was compliant with it, which is a big problem with a lot of people. The side effects sometimes are too severe, or they don't feel as if they have the disease. There's something called anosognosia, which is the number one symptom of psychosis and schizophrenia. And you might not know what anosognosia means, but basically it means you believe you don't have a problem at all. So why would you take medication if you don't think you have a problem? And that's the main symptom of
Mm.
schizophrenia.
Well, wouldn't that be something that many people will feel,
Right.
because they don't
Yes.
they don't want to admit that
Yes.
there's something wrong with them,
Right.
right?
Well, it's more than saying there's something wrong with you. It's feeling and truly believing,
Mm.
even when you're psychotic, that there's nothing wrong with you.
And
And
that's
that's a symptom.
weird,
It's a
isn't it?
symptom of the disease,
Ah,
right?
yikes.
So, I was able to help other people. The thought process cleared up. Um, it's just like I was starting over. Like if a guy who hasn't played tennis in 15 years and then picks it up again and says, that sounds fun again. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Start enjoying yourself again.
Wow. That's wow.
Yeah.
So so you're in Florida at this minute, right? Boca Raton, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We bought a place about 8 months ago.
Nice.
Boca
And
Raton, Florida. Beautiful. Beautiful here.
never been to Florida, but I would love to go there one day.
All right. You come over to my place. We'll hang out.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Uh, Speaking of Florida, what's the scope of mental health in Florida?
I don't know a lot about it yet. All my clients are still in New York.
Okay, okay,
So I do 100% telehealth.
okay.
So I, do Zoom calls or I do FaceTime calls, uh, and it's 100% virtual. So it's a good thing. I don't have to get up and go to an office.
Yeah.
I could work in my pajamas if I want to. It's a good gig. It really is.
Yeah.
And it's November here and it's 80 degrees, so it's nice.
Mm. And you mentioned that distinctive uh, feature about being schizophrenic and being basically being in denial. Uh,
Right.
did you ever feel that way when you?
Yes. When I was first sick, um, after I left Vassar College, I felt as if there was really, nothing wrong with me. I thought that, my actions and my thoughts were quite normal. But after getting on the medicine and realizing what I went through, I said, I can't believe how sick I was back then.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that changed a lot once I started to think clearly.
Yeah. And I can tell you too, David, that I was in denial as well when I started to exhibit PTSD symptoms. Uh, I, for I guess a few reasons. One, I didn't want to admit to myself that something was wrong. Two, I didn't want to have that conversation with my family or friends to say, "Hey, man, I'm going through some things," because in how I was raised and in the neighborhoods that I was raised in, I mean, we were raised to suck it up. We were raised to
Yeah.
man up, right?
Hmm.
So,
Right. But what we're talking about is like, PTSD, as you know, very similar to schizophrenia. It's a brain disease. It's a physical thing. It's not just psychological or part of your personality. It's biological. Something in your brain is not normal. So that, I mean, that's in terms of schizophrenia, it has to do with, well, if you want to get technical, dopamine receptors in the prefrontal cortex. With PTSD, something's wrong with your amygdala. So, if you can understand that, if someone can understand that, maybe they can understand that, there's not something wrong with you, there's something wrong with your chemical makeup. You know what I mean? And sometimes when someone understands that, then they're like, all right, maybe I could try things to make it better.
mm, wow. Uh, because and now you got me thinking that it that is this something that is passed down? Like trauma? Is trauma passed down?
But that's an
Because
interesting topic because there's a lot of different thoughts about that. But there could be genetic predispositions
mm,
that change the DNA sequences of someone who has trauma and
hmm,
therefore pass it down genetically.
mm,
I believe the percentage, I think it is that if you have a parent with schizophrenia, you have something like a 14% chance of getting it if you're a child of someone with schizophrenia.
mm.
So there's definitely a genetic component. Is it
Okay,
a causal? No, definitely not. But
right. But I think that that trauma and or stress could be a possible,
stress
uh,
is very bad for you.
yeah, mental health or not.
Mental health or not,
Yeah,
it,
stress
it,
is.
it raises the amount of something called cortisol in your body, which is a hormone that's produced by your brain when you're stressed out. So it's not just when you're stressed, it's not just that you're feeling stressed. It's like actually pumping through your veins. It's like makes you sick
Mm.
when you're stressed out.
So the cortisol is all, in some respects, is like you said, it's making you sick.
Yes. It's bad for heart disease, it's bad for a lot of stuff, cortisol.
Wow,
And it's all stress induced.
indeed.
Stress
But
could kill you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's real talk right there, David. It really could. But man, that was that's some good information to know. Uh, and off this, I'm staying on the subject, but I'm staying off the questions that I have for you. But the stress, how can you de-stress? How can you
Like what I recommend to my patients is that if you're thinking about the past, it could be depressing, right? You're
mm,
thinking about the future, it could be very anxiety producing with stress,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm,
But if you're living in the present moment, there's no stress there. It's what we enjoy, living in the present moment. Think about all the things we enjoy in life, right? Food, conversations, maybe even a movie, a
Mm,
walk on the beach, a kiss from your loved one, whatever it is, right? These are things that relieve stress. And all
mm,
those things that do relieve stress pull you into the present moment where
mm.
there's no place for stress. You don't have to be stressed out.
Right, right.
And even with like, stress about like, thinking about something that's going to be bad in the future, right?
Hmm.
92% of the stuff we worry about, that we stress about, never even happens.
Man. And we lose our minds over
We
things.
do, we do. We lose our minds over the what ifs,
Whew.
things that might happen in the future.
Mm.
Um, it's hard,
Yeah,
but everybody does it. And that's
everybody.
that's the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy, is to have your mind deal with the automatic negative thoughts that come in and replace it with positive thoughts,
Yeah, yeah,
which reduces stress also.
yeah. I would say breathing too. Some breathing technique.
Breathing is good.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of people are helped with meditation, yoga. A big one that I like is acupuncture,
Mm,
because I'm a big believer that the body has energy pathways through it.
mm.
And there's something called chi or shakti that's
Yes.
in the body. And when we're stressed out, our energy levels in our body are not flowing properly.
Mm.
It's a physical response.
Yeah, yeah. And I've tried uh acupuncture a few times before in the past, and I can tell you, Brother David, every time I went and laid down on that chair, it put me out.
Yeah.
It put me,
Yeah. If you get a good acupuncturist, they can really change the shakti or the chi in your body, and
my
it
goodness.
really it really works. We're so adapt to thinking that in our culture, you're sick and you just take medicine, but there's so many other things you can do to feel better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're right. And like I said, when I went to acupuncture, I'm telling you, because I was going for my back. I have degenerative disc disease, and
Okay.
I went there for pain. And I'm telling you, every time I laid down on that table, I was out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time, and I felt like a new man walking out of there.
Right. Right. Right.
Really. I have a question here for you, David, in the Facebook chat. Uh, was it difficult to complete school and all the chaos and stresses of it? While dealing with your illness, did you go part-time to alleviate stress?
Yeah. When I started off, going back, I took one course. I took microbiology, I remember, and I got an A minus in it. I was like, wow, I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this again. I'm back.
That's what's
I'm
up,
back. I'm
man.
back. I'm able to think straight.
Yeah.
There's no voices in my head anymore.
Man.
I can open up that book and study,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So you
Imagine that, person who doesn't have a psychosis can't understand what if you're hearing voices in your head, it's very hard to concentrate on things, right?
mm-hmm.
Right? You take your medicine, that goes away, you're able to come back, you're able to study, you're able to do what you want to do. But there's always a next step, right? So
Wow. So did the voices in, when you were experiencing those auditory hallucinations, did they ever tell you to do self-harm?
no, I never had that. It was more like I was telepathic in a way, and I was communicating with other people. Uh, so I mean, that's what the voices were like for me. And even
Okay.
looking back on it now, my right now is totally calm. Like I don't hear any voices or anything, and I haven't in 30 years. But going back even before that, they felt so real,
Mm,
so real.
mm, mm, mm,
Like, why would you doubt that, right? It was hard.
mm. Mm-mm-mm. And now you're here.
Right. And it's
Talking,
quiet. And it's quiet.
and it's quiet. uh, I want to ask you about your practice. Uh,
Yeah.
how do you approach your patients? Because you mentioned that you work with patients with the high profile disorders, the
Right.
schizophrenias and the bipolars and the
Hmm.
PTSDs. How do you approach your patients to make them listen to you?
So the main factor in psychotherapy to see if a patient gets better or not is not really how much you know, but how much you can build the relationship to trust you, to
Mm,
open up to you, to tell you that deepest, darkest secrets.
hmm hmm
So that's the main way you do it. And as I said before, my triad is always we're going to work on something. Usually it's think better, do better, or feel better. So if you can think better, right? You're
hmm
thinking more logically, and you can think better in terms of being more positive. And then you could do better what you're doing during the day. You don't have to stay on the couch and watch TV, what you're doing. And if you're doing those things properly, thinking better and doing better, and taking your medicine and listening to me, the goal is that we want people to feel better. But as to your question, the main thing you need to do as a psychotherapist to be successful is to build that relationship. And
hmm
it's more than a friend relationship. It's not like a parent child relationship. It's a totally different relationship. It's someone who it's all about the client. It's not about me when I'm giving therapy. I can
Sure.
use my stories and
Yeah.
tell them, if I'm dealing with someone who has problem in their marriage or whatever, I could talk about my marriage to see what worked for me, and that might work for them also.
Mm,
Especially when I'm working with someone who has schizophrenia, I'll tell them what worked for me. But a large part of it, I think, in the relationship is instilling hope that you could get better,
sure.
that
Sure.
there's hope, that you're not locked in that cage for as long as you're living on this planet. You know what I mean? There's a lot of hope
hmm
that needs to be transferred.
mm mm. And sometimes from my experience, uh, you just need to have someone that's there to listen.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's surprising a lot of my clients, that's what I get paid to do is listen
listen.
and give some feedback about how I think they could help themselves. But
Sure.
listening is a big part of it. Um, someone wise once told me that we have two ears and one mouth for that reason. Listen twice as much as you talk, right?
Mm, mm. Man, you really spitting some knowledge this evening, Mr. David. You really are. Have you have you ever had to talk somebody off the ledge, so to speak?
um, I've I haven't had any patients who were suicidal, but I had patients that I said, maybe it's a good idea for you to go to the hospital.
Mm,
You know, you'll you'll feel better. You'll sleep. You'll get some medicine in your system. You'll be watched. Maybe that's a good idea.
yeah.
Um, so in terms of like, talking to someone off the ledge, not really, but I've definitely been in touch with a lot of patients who are in a crisis for some reason or not.
Mm, okay.
Um, extreme depression or um, fighting with their family for no reason.
Right.
In my opinion, the main reason why someone might need to be hospitalized for a mental illness is either you're a harm to yourself or others, or you really probably need a medication change, and you might find it easier to do that in the hospital. But it's definitely a traumatic experience in itself, having to be hospitalized psychiatrically in our country right now.
Mm-hmm. Would it be fair to ask you if we in this country are are dealing with mental health appropriately, or do you think that there's more that we can do?
I think there's a lot more we can do by trying to eliminate the stigma around mental illness. I think in this country now, 1 in 3 families has some are touched by some sort of mental illness.
Mm.
Understanding that it takes a village to heal someone with mental illness, and reaching out to your local NAMI, National Alliance of Mental Illness affiliates, helps with that tremendously. And also, in some of the Asian countries, you go to the doctor when you're well to stay well.
Mm.
Well, here in the United States, you go to the
Mm.
doctor when you're sick.
Right. Or not well.
Right. When you're
Yeah.
not well or you're sick. So, there's a lot to be said for preventative medicine in terms of keeping people well, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah. Wow. And see, that's another nugget. We
Yeah.
we do preventative, uh, and like you said, in other countries like China, they do it's continuous practically. Even when you're well, they still
Right.
do
Right.
things, you know,
Yes. To keep you well. Right.
to keep you right, to keep you there, not just to get you there, is to keep you there.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that we can learn from that.
And it costs a lot less money also to keep a
Mm,
person well instead of treating them once they become sick.
mm. But they wouldn't want to do that though. Not here.
Well,
Ah,
I was in pharmaceutical
yeah,
sales. I know
yeah.
I know the corporate engine that fuels our economy, which I believe the healthcare industry is. I think it's somewhere right around 40% of our gross national product or something like that. Something crazy high like that.
That's a whole nother conversation, bro. That's a whole nother conversation, and yeah, I will welcome that conversation too. At some, you know, we're talking about what we're talking about right now.
Right, right.
Uh, in your bio, David, you mentioned that you volunteered with NAMI. Uh,
Hmm.
what capacity did you work in?
I was a speaker. At first I led some groups, peer support groups.
Okay.
Um, After I got better, and that was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And then NAMI has something called a family to family program, where families teach other families how to deal with their loved one's mental illness. It's a great program, and this goes on all across the United States. And I was a speaker to many of those programs in which I shared my experience and how I can help, the family gain the knowledge to help their family.
Hmm. Hmm. I was recently at a NAMI meeting here in Milwaukee, and I spoke about my experiences with PTSD and whatnot, and how I navigated through it. And uh, I spoke with other people that were there, and they shared their experiences, dealing with what they were dealing with, and it was a very enlightening uh, and positive meeting. Uh, uh, and I am looking forward to doing more work with NAMI, and I think that NAMI is a great organization, and we need more people, not just organizations, but people like
Mm-hmm.
the ones that work there, that are out there doing the work. Because, as you said before, and I totally agree with you, there's more that we can do to fight the stigma, because it is that stigma, David, that kept me under wraps for so many years. And
Mm-hmm.
it's that stigma that I feel that's keeping a lot of other people under wraps.
Hmm.
They don't want to admit to themselves that there's something wrong with them, even though they know, but they don't want to speak it out. They don't
Right.
want to tell nobody.
Right.
They got it.
You know, in different racial cultures, there's more or less of that that's explicable. Like in the Hispanic culture, you don't talk about these things.
Mm-mm, mm.
You're not supposed to, and that's cultural. That's something that's ingrained within their society.
Our culture too. We don't talk about
Right.
that.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, we don't. Mm-mm. That's what I said. Where I grew, we suck it up.
Yeah.
It's like getting a cut on your finger. Hey, you got to
Right.
band it on that joker and keep it moving.
Right. I mean, we have to get to the point where we're thinking about brain diseases in the same way we think about someone who has diabetes, right? It's something that you have for the rest of your life, but it's a biologically caused illness. And when the general public can understand that, you know, that's a big stigma buster.
Indeed, indeed. So you mentioned you had a daughter.
Yeah.
How old is she?
My daughter's 9 years old. She's in third grade. She's doing great.
Okay, okay, good.
Um,
No,
no, well,
okay.
well, she's doing great. You know, some explosive disorder that she's showing, but you know,
Yeah,
it's average for the 9 year
yeah,
old.
but I say she's nine. She's a kid. You know,
She's a kid. She's doing great in school too.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like and it goes back to the worrying in the future.
right,
Let's not
right,
put the
right,
cart before the horse. Okay,
right. And you know, as a father, you always want to do better than what your parents did for you.
absolutely, absolutely, brother. Um,
My parents are great though. They're still around. They're healthy, and you know,
mhm.
they were great throughout the whole process.
Nice,
Really, really, really supportive, great people.
good, good, good.
My dad just turned 90, so I've got some good genetics also going on. So
Amen to that.
and he worked as a pharmacist until he was 89. So
Wait a minute. So he just retired?
he retired last year. Yeah. So
Wow,
you know,
wow. Bless his.
it was fun having a pharmacist in the family too. You know, you go to his pharmacy, you pick up whatever you want, come
Yeah.
home.
Right.
Uh, but you know, and he was sort of like an expert. He's an expert in like the psychotropic medications. So he was a big asset to NAMI as well as my mother, who ran Staten Island NAMI for a long time too.
Nice, nice. Well, bless his heart, man. 90.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah.
So with all this going on for you, David, what you have anything next in your chapter of life?
So I'm planning on January on starting a webinar for families of people with schizophrenia. And it's going to be called The Roadmap to Full Recovery from Schizophrenia. Um, so if I'm allowed to, can I make a shout out to where
Sure.
people can find me?
Sure. Absolutely. That was my next question, sir.
Um, you can find me on Google. Just Google search David Wilson, LCSW, or David Wilson, LCSW, Staten Island. And we can connect. And if you feel as if I'm able to help you out in some way, I'll do it. So,
Amen. Amen to that. David, I have enjoyed this conversation with you, sir.
I have so too. I hope we can keep in touch.
I we should. We definitely could keep in touch. I'm just a phone call or an email away. Uh,
Okay.
I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with me, and I've learned a few things from our interview because it goes back to what I always say. Mental health is real.
Yeah.
And everybody is affected by it. Uh, the question is, I guess, is just to what degree. And
Right, right,
uh,
right, right.
uh,
And the idea that like schizophrenia, it's sort of with the thought leaders now who know about it, the doctors and so on, it's sort of like a spectrum disorder. So you could have it, and it could affect you slightly, or you could affect you very much. Sort of like you've heard of like autism being on the spectrum, which
mm,
means it'd be very minimal, like Asperger's, or very severe where you can't talk at all. So with psychosis, there's a lot of different levels.
mm. You gave me a lot of food for thought
Hmm.
today, uh, and I've learned a few things from this interview, and I wrote down your motto of think better, feel better, and do better. Uh,
Hmm.
that's something that I'm going to take into account.
Right.
A mental note in my old big head noggin here. So
Right. Think better. The order I like to put it is think better, do better, feel better. Because then you can start with the thinking better, and then you can end up with the feeling better.
well, whichever way it works for you, brother. But the process is still, the end result should be the same. You are better.
Better, better. Right.
You are better.
Right. So we could be good today,
Yeah.
but we could be better tomorrow,
Mm.
no matter who you are.
Better tomorrow. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Wilson, thank you again for coming on to the show, man. I really appreciate this, man.
All righty. Let's talk soon.
Indeed. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it's okay to not be okay. Just do something about it.
Okay.
David, peace, my friend.
Peace. Take
All right.
care.
Take care, everybody.